Topic cohort, good morning. We are here today with another segment of Pilum Teaches, focusing on the F-4E Phantom 2. Today we're going to be making use of the AGM-45 Shrike, and we're going to be using this one in loft mode today. And we're going to be performing an Iron Hand mission against a SAM target. And that's going to kind of be our main bread and butter for what we're getting into, and then we will head on up to the server and get on the fly with hopefully some other folks. We'll see how that plays through. But for now, we're going to cover some basic topics about what is the Iron Hand mission, the weapons we're going to be using today, and then we will get up to it and attack our site. So let's go ahead and get everything flipped over so you can see what's happening on the stream.
Alignment completed. You can go primary sync now. All right, ready to taxi.
Alright, so we have our workhorse here, the F-4E Phantom 2. We do have some weapons on board the jet. On our outer pylons today we have the AGM-45 Shrike, which we have equipped with seeker heads sufficient for battling the SA-2 and the SA-8. We're also carrying a pair of AGM-65 Maverick missiles. This is kind of a standby option. Good morning, Chief. And we have some M117 750-pound high explosive bombs, and we're going to be using those to actually finish out the SAM site. And of course we have our defensive weapons for Sparrows and Sidewinders on board the jet. Before we get into the cockpit, put the helmet on and go ahead and lock things down. We will first answer Chief's question there. What are we drinking? We have coffee this morning, very nice donut blend. So what we're going to be doing today is flying out here to an area south of Minnock, which I'm going to go ahead and put down a marker point, what we'll use as a steer point for. And we're going to be attacking a SAM site. This SAM site is protected with some closer in-air defenses. We have an SA-8, the SA-2 site itself that's providing the medium-range SAM threat, and an SA-9 that are providing the close-in protection for this particular installation. The Iron Hand mission profile is one that involves suppressing and destroying SAM sites. So what our goal is to knock this particular site out so that in theory other allied aircraft could come in and occupy this particular region, either taking on other fighters that now lack the benefit of this site's protection, or if there was a strike objective located near here that this site was protecting, they could run in and attack the strike target while we keep the SAM site occupied and pinned down. Generally, this is a mission that we don't fly solo, especially in something like the F-4, because what this is going to involve a lot of is low altitude, close-in work. So before we actually get up into everything here, we're going to talk about some of the limitations about the Shrike missile, what it's capable of doing, and what some of its limitations are. The first thing that's most important about the Shrike is that it is a small missile. Get in here and we'll take a look at it again. It looks an awful lot like a Sparrow because in many ways it's built on a Sparrow's housing. Particularly older Sparrows that they had a bunch of rocket motors and everything else for, and they just kind of retuned the seeker head to be able to look for the SA-2 sites in Vietnam, where we first employed it. kind of a stopgap measure. The weapon and the warhead itself is extremely small. In many cases, it was not able in real life to actually destroy the SAM site, but could really just damage or knock out the radar for a period of time, which would be somewhat easily repairable. Which is usually why they would come in and follow up with cluster bombs or iron bombs or snake eyes or literally anything else to try and kill the site. From the Shrike, we developed the standard missile, which had a better seeker head on it that could actually be tuned to a few different frequency bands without requiring being down on the ground and physically changing the seeker heads out, which is one of the other limitations we're going to talk about here. Let's go ahead and grab our helmet and close the canopy. So in DCS on the armament panel, you've got this little orange tick box, and anytime you see that on any of the different available weapons, there's usually some kind of extra option that you can make use of. And for the Shrike, this is important.
Out and stripes are aligned.
So first we have this RF guidance unit, and it's going to be listing a bunch of different frequency bands that this thing can search for. Sometimes you can actually get weapon seeker heads that will have a slightly expanded search radius, and maybe they can attack more than one type of SAM site. This Mark 50 is one that is engineered to both provide us with tone and needles, which will be important as we talk later on, for the SA-2 track radar itself. And then we have it in a loft attack profile. Your two options are loft and direct. You will get more range out of loft, but you do have to employ it in a particular way, which we will cover again here in just a little bit. And the other one that we're carrying is the Mark 49 Mod 1, which of course says that it could attack low blow and straight flush, but this one will actually track an SA-8 as well. The other thing that's important to note is where these missiles are located on the jet, on our left and right outer pylons. This is actually the right side of the aircraft. So on our right outer pylon we have our SA-8 killing machine, and on the left outer pylon we have the SA-2. Next we're going to cover what weapon selectors are required for direct mode with these weapons. You'd actually set this to direct and ARM. But we're actually going to be using the loft mode for the weapon, so we actually set it to AGM-45. You'll note that our steering direction indicator also changes, and I believe that actually points to whatever it believes one of the nearby emitters are based on something. I mean, maybe RWR information. We'll have to play with that one a little more to see how that one actually works through. But important to note that it does seem to change, and it does seem to follow the SAM site or prospective SAM sites. We're also setting up in advance our bomb information. I'm looking to release a 5 impulse of the bombs, which is everything on the center rack, at a 0.2 second interval. Which should be a little under like 70 feet or so in terms of distance, as long as we're at good airspeed. There is a frequency band selector to change the band on the precious few number of Shrike heads that can actually change their bands from one to another. Most of the time, however, that is not going to be as helpful for you. The last thing that we need to make sure that we successfully employ a Shrike is to go ahead and turn on the actual needles on the ADI ball. And we do that with the toggle flight director button there. What those will do is it will actually display a cross and play a tone as far as when the missile sees a seeker, or sees something that the seeker head can identify as a radar, to provide you with steering cues and aiming cues, because we don't have a HUD, really. We've got this piece of glass and it's got a pipper in it, and the pipper can move around, but by and large a little bit less than helpful in terms of providing us with any like shot information or distance or anything along those lines. So for now, just to make sure that we can get our steering right, we're going to go ahead and leave the weapon delivery mode selector to off. We'll go ahead and tell our Wizzo that we want to go to our target area waypoint.
Diversion steering set.
And we're going to go ahead and prepare for takeoff.
Slats out. Flaps down. Roger. Yes, sir. Chalk's out. And we are good to go, sir. Bring it back in one piece. Disconnecting.
We have the best job in the world.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and taxi out and get ready for takeoff.
We planning to hit the deck on this flight?
Oh, Jester buddy, you've got no idea.
Alright, how low are we going? Oh, I'll be puckering for this one.
Here at Hatay, we got to do a little bit of back taxi, make sure we got the clearance we need to get up and off the runway. And while the weapon-specific things may not be applicable to other aircraft, sometimes attacking a SAM site does not involve being up at crazy high altitude and throwing a harm from 50, 60 miles away and hoping for the best. Sometimes you've actually got to go ahead and put that knife in your teeth, roll up those sleeves, jump on board the other sailing ship, and go get locked in a phone booth with it to fight it. And of course, we may have missed it earlier in the introduction, but the watermarks and everything else are present. Pantheon Initiative training type video. Benrer flight. Break the chains. Alright, let's hit it.
Engine's good. Airspeed's coming alive. 80 knots. 100 knots.
Back on the stick. Hold the nose here.
Nails 4 o'clock and nails.
Let the aircraft fly itself away. Here, coming up, flaps
and,
coming up.
Nails 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Gears moving. Flaps up. Gear up.
A little bit of altitude for our cruise in, but we are only 34 miles away from our site. The effective range of the Shrike missile is really only about 8 nautical miles in loft mode. It has a very small motor, and it's not a very fast missile. In most of the cases where you're going to employ a Shrike, or would employ a Shrike, you're going to be inside of the lethal range of just about whatever system it is that you're going to engage.
And nails, 1 o'clock. We've got nails, 1 o'clock.
From what I've experienced in the work in preparing for this particular video, it really doesn't matter a whole lot what your altitude is relative to your initial run-in. It all seems to be about the same, about 8 nautical miles. Right, the SA-2 is already tracking us. It is probably going to shoot at us. We're going to go ahead and turn the master arm on. And we have our SA-8 killing weapon set up and ready to go. Now the reason why I'm attacking the 8 first instead of the 2, despite the 2 having some longer range, is the 2 also has a floor. There is a minimum altitude that an SA-2 can engage you, and the SA-8 is actually a little more deadly in this particular scenario because we do have cover, rolling hills, that kind of deal that can protect us from the SA-2 site. However, the SA-8, good morning, Jolly, is going to be something that could, in theory, slow us down. So we're going to kill him first. The last thing that I want to do is I just want to come up to the bombing table and put in the 1,600-foot altitude.
Copy.
All right, so that tone that we're hearing comes from the oral tone system. And he shot at us, so we're going to defend. Down we go.
SA-2.
See that trail coming up right off the nose?
Missile, 11 o'clock.
That oral tone system is the Shrike seeker head going, I can see something. And the reason why it pulses and stutters like that is that it kind of does it in time to the actual sweep of the radar system in question. You can also see our indexer is lit up. That's going to be important for successful loft employment, as it tells us when we need to pull up, when we need to hold the nose, and when we're going to let something off.
Mud, 12 o'clock. SA-8.
Because it's important for the Shrike that we are pointed more or less right at the target. And that tone is about as loud as it's going to get. Tells me to pull up, pickle button held, pulling the nose up. Weapon comes off the rail and we are defensive. Get shot back.
9 o'clock. SA-8.
We're just going to get down low and screen for the hills. And I think that might have overshot it. So let's go ahead and pause up here for a second. The Shrike has a very narrow window that it can actually see the target. So in our particular case, when I nosed the aircraft up, you saw that there was a brief moment where the indexer pointed the opposite direction. I kind of overshot the loft, which meant that the seeker head, that's generally attacking almost straight down on top of the target, was not able to pitch down enough to see it. So we're going to have to go ahead and extend, and we've got another missile. However, it's not engineered for the SA-8, so this one we're actually just going to attack the SA-2 site with and then we will extend, warm our Mavericks up, and try and come back and deal with the site in a different way. Go and keep extending here for a moment. It's definitely where we need to kind of start our initial run. So let's go ahead and hook on back. Use our RWR as a sensor, which will help us out. Zoom in a little bit, we might be able to see kind of the area where it's at. I'm just waiting on the pull-up cue. If we get much closer, there it is. Up we go. It is turning. Turn it down a little bit, but it is also instrumental in letting you know how close you are to the center, because the Shrike only has a 3-degree seeker head. It's very similar to a sidearm in that regard. It's got a very narrow field of view that you can actually see, lock onto, and engage the SAM site with. So you have to use that mixture of that tone and the needles, get them as centered in the cross as you can. In order to be able to successfully engage that site. We're in good parameters. We got the missile into the zone. It was able to see that radar and successfully killed it. Since we got time, we're just going to go and stand off here for a minute. Site is very dead. One of the other radar systems is smoldering and out of commission, but the track radar that actually governs how this system shoots is dead. Ourselves in this autopilot hold here while we turn. As for our next trick, we're going to have to try and kill this SA-8, which is still the most threatening thing that we've got down there at the moment. And then if we can, this SA-9, since that's going to prevent us from bombing out the rest of the site. At this point, do we really need to do a whole lot with this one? Well, really, once we kill the SA-8, probably not. And the SA-9, while a little bit threatening, is a system that generally only works in rear aspect. The F-4 is a little different as the engine exhaust pumps downward away from the jet and is not blocked by it, so the SA-9 can see it in the frontal arc, which can be a little problematic. But the SA-9 is a shorter range type system, so it's really only threatening to somebody that is flying low and not really paying attention traveling through the zone, where the SA-2 is a medium range type system, is really able to pin down a much longer area around it. And while the SA-8 could be overflown by fixed-wing aircraft, it could be particularly dangerous to any rotary-wing aircraft that are in the zone. So we are going to go ahead and try and just remove the rest of the site. And in the interest of a little bit of realism for it, since I really don't want, a bunch of go-getter type people to just haul another radar equipment out there, and then, bam, here's a track radar, it's ready to fight. We're going to go ahead and remove the rest of the site, so that if they want to use this position again, they're going to have to replace everything. Yep, and for Harriers. Although I kind of expect a Harrier to be a little better in its ability to defend itself, particularly against an SA-8. Alright, so let's go ahead and try and find our landmarks here. Use that RWR to help steer ourselves in the general direction of the site. And looking for that Monoc Air Base. And I'm actually going to extend away from it for a minute because I kind of want this ridge line to protect myself with if I have to.
Nails, 7 o'clock. And nails, 7 o'clock.
Alright, so there's Monoc. There's a little town, and there's a little site, all kind of in the center of the vision. So we're going to keep our eyes on it. Try and roll over a little quick, without pissing off the angle of attack indexer too much. To dial this up to 45.
What's our fuel level?
Alright, there it is. No. Nope. That's it. Rifle.
Missile, 11 o'clock. That's a Stinger, 12 o'clock. SA-8.
Countermeasures are out. Alright, let me get away from the site here and I can answer that question there for you. Let's go and pull up the next Maverick here. Since we're here by ourselves for a moment, we'll go ahead and pause. Go into Adjust Controls. And what you're looking at is the air refueling release button. It is a press and hold. And once you are holding the air refueling release button, you can then use an axis for mine, the weapon slew forward hand control. It's the same steering thing that you would use to steer the bullpup missile. And you can move that seeker head around. Once you release the air refueling button, it will attempt to latch onto the target that's underneath the cursor. Alright, we're going to leave ourselves in an AP hold again here for a minute. We are turning back around
Nails,
and just inspect our sight.
And nails, 7 o'clock.
And we can see one very dead Osa. So now we're going to follow up, try and clean out this SA-9, and then we will use the DT radar guided assisted mode for the aircraft and put some bombs down there on that target area and really finish it out. Now thankfully, since we have smacked the hell out of this place and there are no more radar directed or gun threats that are down there in that zone, all we've really got to do is take out that SA-9 and we can take our time to find him, so we don't have a whole lot of pressure going on. Let's go and roll in. Adjust my reticle depression here, actually 45 where it should be.
We've got nails, 1 o'clock, and nails, 1 o'clock.
And same sort of deal, we're gonna zoom on in here. You can see the area that's under explosions. And since we're using the D model seeker, it's infrared. So we can actually see the heat. And we've got a little bit of zoom. So we know that's the SA-8 that's burning to death right there. And the SA-9 is out here to the right of it. Kind of looking for just a little vehicle by itself, and I think that is him. Still a little out of range for him, possibly. The contrast just isn't quite as good. That's him, and rifle. And we'll roll out and move away. Down he goes. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up for DT delivery, which is a dive toss. Again, we've already pre-configured our ripple settings and our ripple quantity. We'll set the selector over to DT, select bombs, select our center pylon because that's where we got things going. And then we want to turn this back over to the radar. I played with my brightness and contrast settings for the Maverick, but I got to adjust them again for the radar. And what this mode delivery does is it allows us to use the aircraft's radar to give good ranging information, and it really allows for a rapid style attack with accuracy over the top of our target. You can do it in a little bit of a toss, You just have to be easy with how sharply you pull up, because if the radar can't see the area, it can't feed information to the computer, limited as it is, and it won't drop the bombs. All right, so there's Bannock. There's our target area. And I'm going to go ahead and pause here for a second. I'm going to talk through what we're going to do next as soon as the ad break is done. Just another minute or so here. Now, for those of you who are watching this later on YouTube, or if you're here now and you don't have ads and don't have to suffer through any of that, we got our 5 M117 bombs here, and we have our target area out there in front. And we'll cover all of this again here in just a minute. Now, the trick here with this one is that we want to try and put our pipper as close to where we want to start our run as possible. So we got 2 fires here that indicates the full breadth of the site. We got an SA-8 that was on the north end of it and an SA-9 that was on the south. So I'm going to try and put my pipper somewhere in between. And then what we're going to use is the Jester contextual button and give it a single long press. That will tell Jester to latch the radar to that point and lock that target, and then we'll start getting ranging information. All right, welcome back from the ad break. For anybody who had missed it here just a minute or two ago, getting ready to use DT mode to go ahead and get in and drop some bombs. We got our sight. We're going to be using the contextual gesture button and a single long press, which will tell Jester to lock the target under the radar, which is the ground in this case. We will then get a bar, just like we would for air-to-air mode, for like ranging information. And then what we will do is, keeping our pipper where we want the bombs to go, we'll press and hold the pickle button, we will get a tone, and then we will initiate a gentle pull-up. And as we pull the nose up, once we get into good parameters for the bombs will fall off the jet on their own. Let's go ahead and unpause, and we'll get this going. Giving the long press now.
I'm captured.
Jester's captured. We're going to go ahead and press and hold pickle. Pull the nose up. And we were too far away, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it again.
Okay, captured.
There they go. All 5 are out. Just going to watch these go in. There we go. It's one very dead SAM site. Set our weapon selector back to off so that Jester goes back to a normal scan.
Nails, 8 o'clock. And, nails, roger. 8 o'clock. Steering set in TGT-1.
We're going to go ahead and go back to Hatay. We'll put the aircraft back on the ground, and then we will join multiplayer server. And really take these skills up and out. And put them to work. So for today's training sortie, what we've used is the loft mode for the AGM-45. We managed to successfully engage the SA-2 site with the AGM-45. We followed up on that site with Maverick missiles. and gave it the final cleanse with iron bombs in a radar-directed DT mode. There's a few little minor things of note, of course. For anybody who's flown the F-4 for practically any length of time, you'll note that over time your heading indicator for your different waypoints and such no longer aligns with where those things actually are. It's because of INS drift, which happens. The longer you fly the aircraft, the less accurate that becomes. And if you've got a human Wizzo, you can have them perform an update if the two of you fly together over a specifically known point. They can help realign that aircraft while you're in flight. It does not correct for a rapid deployment off the ground where you just kind of forego the alignment and leave. But it will get you back to a point where you'll be accurate within a few nautical miles of your expected target area again, so that at least the steering needles will get you close to where you need to go. But as I always like to say, a sortie's not complete until you can bring the aircraft back home, or at least to a friendly base or installation of some kind. So we're going to go ahead and finish this one out right.
Nails, 7 o'clock, and nails, 7 o'clock.
Once we land, we will go back and look at the TAC view, so we can kind of see where everything is going and what's happening. And at that point, we will then transition and go on up to the server, which is an open server, so if other folks want to jump on and fly, more than welcome. Here's our base. Trim the aircraft. The flaps are down, the gear is down.
Alrighty, gear, flaps, pressure, warning lights, anti-skid.
Landing checklist complete. Anti-skid is on, warning lights are out.
$1,000.
Seats raised.
$500. $300. $100. Yep, that was smooth as a baby's bottom.
All right. One ease on over here. Turn the aircraft around. And as we do so, dump the drogue chute. And we'll be going back taxi since it's Hatay and we don't really have another little spot where we can go. Let our imaginary crew out there pick up our drogue chute. I want to activate the air conditioning.
Roger. Yes, sir. Wheel chocks are in.
Okay, chocks are in. We can let go of the brake. We'll shut down the left engine.
Roger. Done.
Okay, that's looking good. Adjust our helmet over there. With that, we'll go ahead and head on inside to the Makeshift Air Warfare Center, where we can review the TAC view footage of our flight. Okay, so, yep, I'm just going to go ahead and do the little TAC view plug as usual. TAC view is a free program that you can use that interfaces with DCS and a few other games too. I want to say it interfaces with Falcon BMS, with IL-2, Battle of Stalingrad, not 46. But what it does is it takes telemetry information that is provided by the game and compiles it into a sort of arrangement and setup that can be used to look at what happened. Of course, there are some server settings that need to be in play to go ahead and allow for people to accept that exported information or without delays and things like that, which could, cause a cheating problem on something like a PvP server. But in this case, what we're doing today, totally going to be used for monitoring our own flight and providing inputs there for it. So let's go ahead and take a look. Grab our slider here and kind of move it forward until the action starts. Took off. And we started getting closer. And we can see the lethal range of the SA-2 system that we're just about to breach. Takes that first shot at us. Jester puts out some countermeasures on his own. We got down low below the hill. And when the radar lost track of us, it self-destructed the missiles. Now we came a little closer. I believe my middle mouse button might be dying. Using that to kind of work that slider back and forth. We climbed and we fired our first Shrike. This was at the SA-8. It was in loft mode. And it kind of just goes ballistically over the target. We fired it a little too high, so it was not able, and a little too close, to be honest. And look here, we're within 4 miles. I wanted to have that weapon go at about 7 miles because it was starting to look for the site probably right about here, but it found nothing, and so it hit the ground. Without our missile for the SA-8, we went ahead and we extended out. Turned back around, we had our pylon selected for the SA-2. Identified our site. Launcher. Fan song. Kind of want that one. And our Phantom. You can also look through the cockpit. We can look out here. This teal line is kind of where my head tracking is pointing. Come in here, we're looking at the site, and we shoot at just under 7 miles. Weapon is going up. It's kind of flying towards the base, but it found the system. And it killed it. Now, understandably, the Shrike is kind of a small weapon. It really didn't damage anything else but the target we were shooting at. But without the track radar, all those long-range systems are no longer effective. And we extended for a minute, We're warming our Mavericks up. We're talking about things. Come in here. We are looking for that SA-8 site. Identify it. Shoot it. It shoots us. But we killed it. Now we're extending. We're coming back. We're going to hit the SA-9. And my head tracking, I'm looking out the window right now. We're kind of watching that SA-9 site to see it blow up in the game. Which it does. Come out here. A little too close, or a little too far away, rather. Weren't able to get the bombs off on the first pull up, but we dive back down, latch the targeting area again, pull up, bombs come off the jet, and it runs right through the middle of the site. The only thing that was left up there was a handful of launchers, but the search radar is down, the low altitude search radar is down, several of the other missiles that were in line are gone, the ammunition truck that would be refilling the SAM site if it ran out of missiles and things is gone. This site is sanitized enough. So our Iron Hand mission complete. We've suppressed that SAM site and destroyed it. If we were operating with more than one aircraft, we might still be lingering in the area looking for more SAMs to kill. But for this particular scenario, we are good. Came home, parked, and now we're here. So with that, we're going to go ahead and transition on over to the server, which is the Pantheon Initiative. I believe it's the free mission server is the one that's currently running my Styx mission, which is a Syria Torn Light, because we have Torn Strike, which is another mission that we've put together. It's got some objectives that are on it, a little bit lighter intensity. Year 1980X. STYX. Kind of playing the backronym game there on that one. It's a 1980s themed mission, so there are some arms limits in place for some of the older equipment, but should be a good time. Let's go ahead and pop things back over. Game capture. And we'll head on up to the server. This up here for a moment while we are getting things taken care of to log in. All right. Blue Coalition. Takeoff from Ramat David. Stick with the F-4. I think for what we're doing, go ahead and carry a Shrike. Yeah, just continue with where we've been. Anticipating attacking an SA-8 site. Use our seeker head for that. I'm going to want some bombs. I'm a big fan of the 750s. So we'll carry a bunch of those. And our Shrike is on the right wing inner pylon. Although I think it might be in direct. I want to change that to loft here in a minute. Which we can do while it's loading all the textures. Oh, it's in loft. Smarter than myself out of habit.
Which alignment do you want? Will do. Stored heading. Got it.
Okay.
Roger. Carts are loaded.
Hold our igniters down, get that vape cloud going.
Our generator's up. I can start the alignment. You got it. Canopy down and locked, lights out, and stripes aligned.
Roger. Yes, sir. Chalk's out. You're all set, sir. Good to go. Have a safe flight. Disconnecting.
Copy.
All right, just waiting on alignment.
Got it. Diversion steering set.
We're listening for that telltale click of adjuster engaging the alignment system. There it is.
You can go primary sync now. Alignment's done. We're ready to taxi.
All right. Go and set our takeoff trim. Start rolling forward.
All right, buddy. Let's go flying. Hey, we're going to be down in waterfowl territory in this flight? Roger that.
A little dusty out today.
Engine's good, airspeed off the peg. $80 knots. And 100. Heads up, nails 5 o'clock. And nails 12 o'clock. Gears moving. Flaps up. Gear up. Mud, 12 o'clock. AAA.
All right.
Heads up, we've got traffic at 1 o'clock.
Just going to get a little bit of altitude here as we go. I'm going to try and put what we learned earlier today into a little bit of practice. And see if we can't successfully engage some systems here. time we'll kind of do like a medium altitude approach from about 15,000 feet. Alright, so we only got ourselves in an autopilot hold. We are a little differently armed in that I have more bombs. And only one of each weapon. Shrike on one pylon, Maverick on the other.
Oh, I'm showing nails 11 o'clock. And oh, nails 11 o'clock.
Got some fighters out there. We're going to be looking for some landmarks. Those lakes down there are some of them. Said I believe that little oval lake might be another one.
We've got nails 1 o'clock. And nails 1 o'clock.
Yep. More or less right off the nose. Let's go ahead and get out of the AP.
That's the Stinger, 12 o'clock, SA-8.
Alright, we're going to climb away from it.
New bogeys. Let's IFF these suckers.
Which we might lose this race.
Whoa, we've got a Bandit 2 ship. Raw, right? 30
Yep,
degrees.
and we
18
did.
miles, 15,000. We're hit. Shit, ejecting. Good luck. Missile, missile, missile.
Sadly, it is one of the limitations of the loft mode is that it has to be fired with that, that pull-up. Alright. Alright, we'll get in and try it again. This time we should be able to see the system a little further out. As he was not active until we got almost too close to it.
Which alignment do you want? Stored heading, already then.
Roger. Cartridges loaded, sir.
If only the generators were going, then I could start the alarm. You got it. Canopy down and locked, lights out, and stripes aligned. Roger, okay.
Roger. Wheel chalks out.
All right, just waiting on the
Wheel choke,
alignment.
sir. Pew, 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 pew. Disconnecting. Flaps down. Slats out. Door open, sir. Door closed.
You can go primary sync now. Alignment's done. Ready to taxi.
All right, once more into the breach.
Don't fuck it up.
Thanks, Chester.
Roger. Steering set for diversion. We doing some trench running on this one? Okay. Engine's good. Airspeed's coming alive. 80 knots. 100 knots. Oh, I got nails on our nose. 12 o'clock. And nails? 5 o'clock. Gears moving. Gear up. Flaps up.
Aim for a little bit better
Looks like we've
performance
got
this time.
traffic at our 12 o'clock. Oh, I got nails on our nose, 12 o'clock. Oh shit, we've got mud. It's 5 o'clock. Hawk.
Started to track the SAM site a little bit.
We've got nails, 1 o'clock. And, oh, nails, 1 o'clock. I see a new bogey. Right, 25 degrees, 18 miles, 8,500. Heads up, I've got nails, 11 o'clock. And nails, not getting an IFF response on that one. That's a bad guy. 11 o'clock.
Looking for our landmarks here. That's our boy.
Yeah, I'd say that's mud, 10 o'clock. Hawk and mud, 12 o'clock. SA2.
See how this one does. Think it might see it. Here as it gets through the cloud. That looks like it's the right course heading. See if it's got the energy. Yeah, it's barreling right for it. There's the SA-8. And it may not have killed it, but it might have disabled it. I want to get much further. Yeah, I don't want to get much further north. So we got to get that 9 that's down there as well. And we should be able to start farming some Sparkas and things. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Sir Ad Revenue, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Alright, let's wait on that Maverick to warm up. And then we'll continue our press there. So far it goes well. And a little bit of teaching about the loft mode in the Shrike. I'm on the Pantheon Initiative free mission server at the moment, which is open to the public. Looks like our Maverick is up. And then a 1980s style mission.
And nails 9 o'clock.
Alright, let's turn in for that lake. Is almost hidden by that cloud. And we will look for our friend, the SA-9. Well, I've managed to hit with 2 of the 3 fired so far in all day today. But in real life, the Shrike was kind of a meh missile anyway, so that kind of also fits, you know. The big trick is you have to know where its limits are, respect those limits, and try and fly it as best you can. Because you do have to be pointed more or less right at the target. There's our SA-9. But you can get a good 8 miles or so out of it. Rifle.
We've got nails 1 o'clock, and nails 1 o'clock.
Alright, we are up DT bombs. And I flew a little too close to the training camp, so now that mission's activated. But we're going to see about bombing the artillery pieces that are attacking our tanks. Looks like that SA-9 is dead. And we can see the artillery pits that are there. So let's get to work. Same thing, we are in DT bombs. Got our ripple pattern set. Have Jester latch the target area.
Captured.
And Pickle. And we're going to roll out away from the Sparkas rather that are shooting at us. It looked like a good drop. And that took care of most of those artillery pieces that are there. Go ahead and reset to pairs, and we'll try and...
Okay, we've got mud 2 o'clock.
Knock down some of those Sparkas.
What's our fuel at, buddy?
Jester, I'm a little busy to check the gauge. 7,000 pounds, we're fine. Alright, there's a couple of our friends right there. Let's go ahead and latch it.
Captured.
Ripple pair. Getting out and away from the guns. Good effect. More tracers coming up.
Overlord 1-1. Infield 1. Request bogey dope.
Oh, I got nails on our nose. 12 o'clock.
We're going to attack the rest of this SA-8 that was here because there's some tracers very obviously coming up right from it.
Captured.
Good effects. Still got more tracers coming up. Kind of the direction of the SA-9 site that's there. Well, ex-SA-9 site. We killed it. There they are. The top right corner there. Try and get them before we lose them in the clouds.
Oh, I'm showing nails. 11 o'clock. Okay, captured.
Another pair. Another rollout.
Heads up, I've got nails. 11 o'clock. And nails. 11 o'clock.
Still got some live pylons. And there's still some tracers coming up from somewhere.
I'm captured.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like a merged call.
Heads up, nails. 5 o'clock. All right, got a new bogey. Left 30, 6 miles, 7,500. Roger that. We have a bandit, SU-17, 11 o'clock, 6 miles.
Come on, Jester, lock him up.
Lock. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Shoot him.
No parameters. Let's go. Box 1.
I lost lock. Back to standard scan. No IFF.
Oh, he's just pissing flares. Oh. Yeah.
I'm getting nails, 9 o'clock. And, nails, 9
Come on.
o'clock.
There's our friend. Hello, fitter. Box 2. Farewell, fitter. Splash. Okay.
All right, returning to standard scan.
That was an SU-17 fitter, which kind of has a partially swept wing. It's got like some extra wing root at the shoulder. Primarily a ground attack platform, but it's got an afterburner on it, and it can carry some air-to-air missiles and has a radar and everything in a gun.
I've got nails 4 o'clock, and oh, nails 4 o'clock.
Where's that? Raj Pina. Let's use TACAN navigation to get home. It's not one that you really encounter a whole lot in DCS, but I kind of like it for especially some of the older type stuff or things out here in Syria or Iraq, other nations, things like that. But as we are now empty of bombs and other air-to-ground weapons, and we've fought something, and I've got some presents that I need to wrap, we're going to go ahead and start flying home. We got just a good couple hours here this morning with our Pilum Teaches event that we do on Saturday mornings. Yeah, the MiG-15's name is not one that has stood the test of time, and is not one that we will be talking about here on the channel for reasons that folks can go look up in the Wikipedia somewhere.
Nails 5 o'clock, and nails 5 o'clock.
That said, though, if someone wants a nice educational sort of deep dive there on that one, you can look up and see how those things are named. There's a lot of piston engined fighters. I think they were probably going for one of the older variations of the word. You got to remember it was like 1947, 1950 or so when that was
do a quick IFF.
extant. But a lot of jet-powered fighters all have two-syllable names. The piston engine ones all have one-syllable names.
Friendly 2-ship, Bra, left 40, 15
Or propeller-driven aircraft like
Angels
that, like
15.
Bear, one-syllable name, propeller-driven bomber, as compared to Backfire, which is jet-powered and has two syllables. All right, we're up here at 21,000 feet. Just gonna go ahead and put ourselves in a nice little cruise, and we're 20 miles from home. We can go a little easier on the power. We got 3,000 pounds left in the jet. That is more than enough to cruise for a while. That's what happens when you don't have money.
New bogey, right 30, 36 miles, 21,000.
It's like watching all of the
It's a friend. IFF checks out.
all the submarines and things that they've got that are all mothballed and rust covered and falling
Alpha fuel
apart.
state.
We're fine, Jester. Thank you.
Heads up, nails. 6 o'clock. There are friendlies. 1 o'clock.
Honestly, though, in the current sort of environment, I'm kind of glad that they can't maintain most of their equipment, and would kind of prefer that it stay that way. All right, we're 9 miles away from Vermont David. I'll take her out of autopilot.
Heads up, nails. 6 o'clock.
That's the airbase kind of right above the glass. Raise our seat here.
Nails, 7 o'clock. And, nails, 7 o'clock. Heads up, nails, 5 o'clock. And nails, 5 o'clock. Looking like traffic at our 2 o'clock.
Should be the B1s that are out there within their parking orbit.
Alrighty, gear, flaps, pressure, warning lights, anti-skid.
Quite in the right position here. The F-4 holds up all right. She is one that is a product of her time. So in a purely modern threat environment, very similar to like a MiG-21, there are some things that you are a little more limited to do, or you have to be extremely careful with, or employ better tactics or numbers with. A little high here, we're going to lose some altitude.
We've got nails, 1 o'clock. Watch sink rate, and nails, 5 o'clock.
I very much enjoy it, you know, especially since RASBAM's having a fit right now, which means that my F-15E that I love so much has not had a necessary update in quite some time.
You got that love and feeling? Because I think I just lost mine. Forever.
Jester, we didn't touch down that hard. We do run some modern missions here as well. A lot of the ones that I've been building lately for the group have all been Cold War sort of themed. Like this one here is very much set 1980 to 89 style. But there's some missions that we've got running, like Turkish Delight Unrestricted, which is on the primary server right now, which is as it says, an unrestricted mission in Syria that's set in a more modern time frame, so there's all kinds of aircraft that have advanced weapons and things of that nature. Styx is set in the 80s on purpose. There's a Turkish Delight 92 variant that I run from time to time on the server that is arms limited to things in 1992, so you got early model AMRAAMs and laser-guided bombs, but no JDAMs. It really kind of runs the spectrum with Pantheon. The late Cold War kind of kick has been good so far, and in that arena, the F-4 holds up extremely well. The M model Sparrows are very nice. You don't have to wait the several seconds for the seeker head to align with the radar to figure things out before shooting. Enforcing all the things like INS drift and setting it in a gear where GPS doesn't work has really been an interesting challenge for folks who are dependent on those kinds of systems for even things like basic navigation. It's a different set of conditions for flying. It's kind of fun and enjoyable. But I know the folks that we have in the group that love flying Apaches on the regular basis occasionally like actually using the fire control radar. So yeah, we do have more modern things that we do as well. I mean, for its time, it was kind of incredible, but it does have a fair amount of drift that's associated with it, and it really does play a factor over time. You know, if you do the full alignment, you can really kind of get the best case out of the jet, but even that starts to hit the 3 nautical miles per hour drift and variance as you fly the jet. You go with a stored heading alignment, it's a little quicker than that. If you just kind of go with I just want to floor it and let's get going now and have the worst possible alignment, it's upwards of 5 to 7 nautical miles per hour. It's really kind of really jank. Okay, let's go ahead and put the parking brakes in, or the wheel chocks rather.
Roger. Yes, sir. Wheel chocks are in. Roger.
The F-15E right now is currently suffering from the fact that it hasn't had an actual update in probably the better part of 6 months. As far as things that are missing on it, the data link system, it has the pod and the pylon, but doesn't have any data link anything that's on board. Not that there's any real weapons that would make use or take advantage of it, because that's kind of there for the GPU-15 or the AGM-130. Both of those weapons are things that you can yeet out into a distance and then use the data link to look through the camera and select a target for terminal guidance, which is really kind of cool in its own way. Might see that on the DMOS version of the F4 before the situation is resolved with them. They're supposed to be putting Mavericks on it, which were not carried operationally by the Air Force, but some Air National Guard units were using Mavericks from time to time. So you can carry 3 on each of the glove stations on the F-15. That was supposed to be in there on the list. There are some sync issues with the back seat, especially in a multi-crew type scenario for smart weapons. Getting those encoded doesn't always transfer correctly between both seats to show that the weapons are actually ready. So if the Wizzo has them set up and they look good for the Wizzo gets to be the one to drop the bombs. As that information doesn't reliably pass back and forth between the two chairs. JTIDs would be a nice feature to have up to date on the jet. They're supposed to be releasing alternate versions of that aircraft as well. Like they currently have a version of the aircraft that's circa 2006. They're supposed to be having another one that I think is more like circa 2015 with the helmet-mounted sight and 9X support and that kind of thing. That's, high-powered and incredible. But then I think they've also got an older variant that they were looking to do as well at some point. It's been a minute since I've caught up to date with what they were doing. So while the jet at the moment, all the Razbam products are kind of suffering from this one, still works and still flies in the current setup for DCS, it's one of those things where it's a little bit of a matter of time before that completely falls apart, just by virtue of updating the game. If everything else is getting an update, but the aircraft in question are not, over time, there's going to be errors that creep into all of those modules and have things that once worked that don't, by virtue of having changed something in the spaghetti code that is DCS for being 24 years plus old. Since it's been more or less built on top of the lock-on modern air combat framework that was once built on the flanker framework, and so many things that they have added and changed and twisted, and they're still old ghosts in the code, as it were. So that's kind of the current issue that I've got with the F-15E, is that as much as I love it, it is absolutely my favorite aircraft of all time. Especially having grown up in a place where a much younger version of me got to sit in one for a minute, which was kind of fun. Definitely a love affair with that aircraft, and it's very sad that I see it kind of in the condition that it's in right now. That said, though, I do have like my the next one in line, the F-4 Phantom. Always like the look of the aircraft, the workhorse feel of it, the level of work that kind of goes involved with it. Be nice if we had a G model, but that's okay. The E is good too. So we've been flying that one, which has been a lot of fun as well. And we've been really putting the work in on it and really kind of getting the systems down. I always hesitate to call anything truly mastered in the game because I don't believe that that's a good word when it comes to flying, since everything is different, things can happen, and can be good and proficient in the platform, but mastering it is something that, I don't know, I don't believe in that kind of a word for that. But with that, though, I do have some presents that I do need to wrap, so we are going to close the stream out just a few minutes early at the 2-hour mark, rather than our usual 3-hour push that we do on Saturdays. So we're going to go ahead and roll on over to the end credits. I do appreciate all the likes, the follows, the subscribes. Those things do really keep the channel going and keep things in work. If you have Amazon Prime, you do have access to a free Twitch subscription of your choice, which if you choose to spend that here, I very much appreciate it, but again, it is not required. If you prefer to donate a little more directly, you can do so over at coffee.com/PilumJRomar. You can catch this and other VODs on the YouTube channel and at PilumRomar. And the schedule that we've got for our usual week-to-week events is up on the display right there. Our next one up is Monday, which we'll be playing DCS. This should be with most of the Pantheon crew there on Monday night. Starting at about 6 p.m. We'll follow that up with our classic game stream at 9 p.m. We're going to be continuing on with Dark Sun 2, The Wake of the Ravager, and our playthrough that we've been doing on that one. Friday night, we got Arma 3. We're going to be continuing that Antistasi game that we're playing in the Star Wars sort of setup and universe. And then, of course, we got DCS Saturday morning, a week from today on Saturday, where we'll be doing some more teaching and things of that sort, which is kind of what I've been using the Saturday stream for, since I'm largely up early and ahead of anybody else, and, it's really just kind of me, so we get to hang out together on that. I am going to be continuing a little bit with the F-4. We're going to be trying some additional bombing modes, maybe use some different equipment, and, of course, as always, taking questions and looking for things that you guys want to see, and go from there. With that, folks, always ask for consent, try to communicate as best you can with your partners, and try to be genuinely decent human beings. And I will catch up with you at a later time. Thanks for watching, folks. Pilum out.